Hi, my name is Melissa Poffel, and I am going to take you on a guided tour through Italy today. Picture this. A movie begins with a panoramic scene, robust, aged architecture, a young man rowing a gondola down a pristine canal, while a young couple visibly fall in love, sharing a vintage red wine and a plate of pasta. It's picturesque and perfect. What can we say? It's Italy. This famed peninsula is known around the world and contains visions of gourmet cheese, wine, scenic vineyard tours, and idyllic coastlines are often what first comes to mind. Italy is a traveler's dream with so much to explore. Sit back, relax, and follow along to take a guided tour through Italy's unique culture, geography, climate, and much more. The physical geography of Italy is quite temperate, and it's very unique as it includes mountains, pristine coastal regions, and valleys in between, with varying weather patterns unique to each individual region. Beginning in the north, the far north is nestled into the world's most rugged terrain. The Alps. The Alps provide ample snowfall throughout the year, with elevations reaching over 15,000 feet at Monte Bianco on the French border of the Italian Alps. The alpine portion of the country is the only region in the country that experiences cooling due to changes in altitude, and yet only experiences an average of a 43-degree spread in temperature throughout the year. This makes the northern region of Italy a great place to retreat in the winter months, with ample activities, yet foregoing the frigid temperatures experienced by other mountainous destinations. Traveling farther south into the valley-laden terrain, the climate of Italy takes its familiar Mediterranean form. Mediterranean climates can be characterized by humid, cool winters and hot, dry summers. It is known to have sudden heavy rain surges or high winds. The adequate rainfall and moderate temperatures provide an environment that is ideal for both vegetation and wildlife. Although the namesake of this region is the sea itself and contains many beaches, coastal land, and a full offering of adjacent islands, it contains ample hills and is heavily forested in contrast as well. In fact, over 40% of Italy is heavily forested. The coastal regions of Italy provide ideal temperatures for tourists year-round. Not too cold winters and a reprieve from the hot summers with coastal winds and rainfall make southern Italy the epitome of a vacation destination. Coastal regions extend for ample distances farther south and are quite flat in comparison to Italy's hilly interior. The temperature averages from 14.8 degrees Celsius in Florence to 61 degrees Celsius in Naples. Rainfall hovers around 30 inches in most coastal regions. Italy is no stranger to natural disasters, as they commonly experience earthquakes, volcanic activity, flooding, and forest fires. In fact, Italy is situated in what you would call a seismic hotspot. It is located near the boundary of the Eurasian and African tectonic plates. Not only does this cause earthquake activity, it is also responsible for volcanic activity in the southern portions of the country. The country also contains smaller fault lines located in the Appian Mountains that run north to south through the nation. These smaller fault lines are responsible for their rugged terrain. With no less than 20 catastrophic earthquakes in the last century, travelers may wonder if it is safe to visit Italy. While much of the architecture that is iconic to the region is thousands of years old, Italy has a state-of-the-art building code system that allows structures to remain relatively unharmed in the midst of these otherwise catastrophic natural disasters. The modern-day architecture built has structural integrity second to none. It has been acclaimed as some of the most innovative and ahead of its architectural work in the world. Boom goes the volcano. Volcanic activity in Italy is extremely dangerous due to the sheer number of volcanoes in close proximity and the densely populated areas in which they are located. In tandem to earthquakes, tectonic activity is the cause of volcanic activity in Italy. The southernmost region of Italy, known as Naples, is statistically one of the highest risk areas for volcanic activity due to the position of the three large calderas, Vesuvius, Camp Flegrei, and Ischia. It is reported that more than 3 people 3 million people live within the volcanic rupture zone of these 3 volcanoes. The rupture zone is defined by a 20-kilometer distance between communities in one of those volcanoes. Additional risk is present because the volcanic activity is so unpredictable. And it is nearly impossible to provide residents within the eruption zones with adequate time to evacuate to areas of safety. With the area being so densely populated, it creates a logistical nightmare for disaster mitigation efforts. Italy is plagued with flooding, a worldwide catastrophe catalyzed by global warming and human modification to naturally degrading water systems. Frequented by excited travelers from across the world, Venice is a keystone piece of the Italian landscape. Nestled into the Venetian lagoon, Venice sits on the inlet of the Adriatic Sea. Any average traveler could assert that a town built into the coastal inlet would be prone to flooding. In fact, flooding in Venice, commonly called acqua alta, has been recorded as early as 787 AD. Rising waters were anticipated by residents and tourists alike, and modifications have been made to limit the disruption of the day-to-day life. The price of living near the sea has been easily paid by Venetians. Problems began with rising sea levels and the strong storm surges caused by seasonal winds that are indicative of global warming. The sea level near Venice has increased 32 centimeters since the late 1800s when formal records were established. The rise in sea levels accompanies a direct correlation between the increase in flooding events. The last century marked one flooding event per year when the water levels rose above 110 centimeters, starkly contrasted by the increase to 5 to 6 events per year as of late. This serves as a warning for climate naysayers. The evidence of the effects of global warming seem irrefutable. Changes must be made now, for future generations will not have a canal to row down, or possibly even a city to visit. A traveler can create a list a mile long of sights to see while touring Italy. The numerous natural wonders as well as man-made marvels will keep a traveler intrigued for a lifetime. Take the time to escape to the island of Capri and visit the Blue Grotto, a sea cave accessed only by rowboat, hardly touched by humankind. It is a wonder to see. 200 feet of perfectly blue water caused by an anomaly of refracted sunlight. The grotto also produces a phenomenon that turns objects in the water silver due to the same refraction of sunlight. Bubbles coat the outside of objects underwater, making them appear silver in appearance. The grotto does not provide access for swimming and diving, making this treasure an untouched wonder of the world. Some reports state that the entrance to the cave is so narrow in headspace that a traveler must lay down flat within the rowboat to avoid hitting their head on the cavernous rock. Can you even imagine? The best places are often destinations that take little effort to explore, and it appears that Blue Grotto follows suit. In contrast to the remote waters of the Blue Grotto, another world wonder that is not to be missed in Italy is none other than the Colosseum. Possibly considered the most iconic and familiar architecture site in Italy, possibly the world, the Colosseum is a true testament to the intellect of the Roman Empire. Nearly 2,000 years old and formerly called the Flavian Amphitheater, it spanned nearly 4 stories tall when constructed and spans an enormous distance and perimeter. In its prime, the Colosseum could hold 50,000 spectators. This number is remarkable considering modern-day NFL stadiums only hold 10,000 more people and were built with state-of-the-art engineering, materials, and machinery. It was built sometime between CE 70 and 72 and remains the last great icon of the Roman Empire. An eager traveler can take one look and be taken back at the architectural marvel that was constructed before the invention of modern-day heavy equipment that is so commonplace in construction today. In addition to being a significant part of history, the Colosseum is vital to the country's financial health of Italy, as it is the most visited landmark annually and brings tens of millions of dollars in revenue. Most recently, in 2008, it was reported that the Colosseum brought in more than $60 million. How low can it go? The complex Italian demographic crisis. The population of Italy hovers right around 59 million, with births declining at the fastest rate ever recorded in Italy. In contrast, Italy's demographic or steadily declining birth rates are juxtaposed with the steadily rising life expectancy, and it creates a population that continues to shrink each year. Italy's demographic crisis is a very unusual juxtaposition. The rising life expectancy has been attributed to the Mediterranean diet that most Italians enjoy. Rich in omega fatty acids, the primary fat used in cooking is olive oil. Unlike the rich red meat diets in many Western cultures, Italians enjoy diets rich in fresh seafood, fresh fruits, and vegetables, and robust wines in moderation are readily available. In addition to Italy's high life expectancy, overall quality of life is very high, and literacy rates for 15-year-olds is an incredible 99.34%. This high literacy rate places Italy in the top 20 countries worldwide for overall literacy rate, a number to be quite proud of. Italy's rich culture has roots deep in absolute patriotism and can be studied through its language, religion, and economics. The language in Italy has ties to the regional areas in which citizens live, with Italian being the primary national language. A traveler can expect to hear additional minority languages such as German and French in specific regions. A traveler can benefit greatly from learning the language, immersing oneself in Italy's rich and diverse shows of fashion, architecture, art, religion, and culinary arts. And let's talk about food. Who doesn't like to talk about food? The United States is a huge consumer of the culinary arts provided by Italy. In 2021, the U.S. imported $2.5 billion in wine and nearly $800 million in baked goods, cereal, and pasta, not to mention olive oil, dairy, cheese please, condiments, and sauces. Total imports of Italian food goods topped $6.5 billion in 2021, while the U.S. exported only $1.1 million in agricultural trade. Italy remains one of the largest agriculture producers in the EU, accounting for about 2% of its GDP. A traveler can expect to roam the streets of any Italian city and smell the aroma of pastries, pizzas, pastas, and more. Many world-renowned chefs are native to Italy, and even more obtain some, if not all, of their classic culinary training in the country of Italy. In fact, Italian chefs achieve a celebrity status and are sought after by eager tourists. One infamous Italian chef is a staple to the Food Network, Giada De Laurentiis. Beginning as a child, she emulated the movements of her grandfather in the kitchen and learned how to prepare Italian dishes. Giada is a best-selling author, has started multiple cooking shows, and is a successful owner of many restaurants in the U.S. and Italy. Italy's most famous resident. Although Italy has no state-recognized religion, the Catholic Church is significantly responsible for societal roles. A staggering 71% of Italians adhere to the ideals of Christianity. The majority of those adhere to the Christian religion, ascribed to Roman Catholicism. It is common for a traveler to plan to venture to the heart of Rome to enter the sovereign nation of the Vatican to possibly catch a glimpse of the Pope, possibly Italy's most famous resident. In 2013, Jorge Mario Bergoglio became the 266th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, referred to as Pope Francis. As you now know, in this last year there is a new Pope in town, but he's yet to prove what his platform will be, so we speak mostly on his predecessors. The Pope is an instrumental worldwide in the Catholic denomination. Serving as a spiritual and moral leader, he is the first of his kind to speak progressively on the evidence of evolution and the Big Bang Theory. He often speaks out on social injustices, political turmoil, and church corruption, for wrongdoings within the clergy, and overall reform in a time where the need is dire. Pope Francis was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize and recently was Time Magazine's Person of the Year. These are both highly unprecedented and highly admirable. It is obvious that Italy's culture is vast and unique. It is a traveler's dream, and I recommend that everyone take at least a 1-week trip to Italy in their lifetime. Thank you.